And because of the fact there are people in our church who seem to think and have been telling others and have decided that calling upon the name of the Lord for salvation is works. But you see, they say, well, if a person believes that you have to confess with your mouth and call upon the name of the Lord for salvation, then that person is teaching work salvation, and the person who's teaching that is not even saved, according to some people in this church that have spoken to me. That a person who thinks that you have to confess with your mouth or call upon the Lord, and they believe that you have to do that to be saved, is not saved themselves because they've added works. Well, let me ask you something. Have you ever read the invitation to our church that we've handed out hundreds of thousands of? And let us help you word a prayer. Realize it's not words that save. Is that what it says? Does it say it's not words that save? No, that's not what it says. What does it say, Brother Dave?
It's not mere words.
It's not mere words that save. It's not just words that save. This is what the Bible teaches, and guess what? This is what Pastor Anderson has always taught. And this is what Faithful Word Baptist Church has always taught, and nothing about it has changed. So here's my question for you. If you feel that someone who teaches that you have to call upon the Lord to be saved is adding works to salvation and is not saved themselves, then what you're saying is that basically this tract is teaching a false gospel. And you're the one who's been handing it out. So you've been handing out a false gospel. How many have you handed out? Do a little estimate in your mind. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,000? Did you bother to read it before you handed it out? Did you read it first before you handed it out? Probably not. And I can guess why. Because the same kind of person who's too lazy to read the back of the church tract is the same kind of person who's too lazy to read their Bible cover to cover. And it's the same kind of people who want to go by what somebody says instead of what this book says. And listen to me. This church has always stood for the same thing, and it came out of this book right here. Amen. And let me tell you something, buddy. You better read this book, and you better read the tract, and you better know what you're doing. You say, why are you so mad? Let me tell you why I'm so mad. Because I'm sick and tired of what Faithful Word Baptist Church is turning into. This is a great church. This is the best church I've ever been to, and I don't like what it's turning into, because I'll tell you what it's turning into. It's turning into a bunch of people who don't know what they're talking about. And let me tell you something. You can go out and go out and do a bunch of soul winning, and go out there and work and work and work, but know what you're talking about because you read this book.
Amen.
And you're off balance, my friend. If you got time for everything else, you got time to go out and talk to everybody about doctrine. You got time to chit-chat about doctrine and talk about all this stuff. You got time to get on the internet on some forum or some chat room or YouTube or Facebook or whatever. Talk a bunch of doctrine. Why don't you make the time to read this book?
Yeah.
And the sad thing is that many people who think they're going to be a preacher one day are the ones that are the guilty ones that I'm talking about. Because they think they're going to preach one day and their preaching is going to be garbage. Let me tell you something. If you are not reading the Bible, keep your mouth shut. Don't teach anybody anything. And let me tell you, you guys got your preaching night on Tuesday nights? You don't need a preaching night. You need a reading night. You need a Tuesday night reading circle. And if you want to come down here and do something and get together and do something for God, sit down and read your Bible together, for crying out loud, and know what you're talking about.